I'm in a place of finding grounding, finding where feeling is coming through, because I can feel myself un unsettled a little discombobulation. And it's not crazy, but I recognize that my thoughts are going into certain realms, and I'm like, why are my thoughts here? And then I'm going in and I'm inventory. Is this an emotion or is this grounded in feeling? And and that's when we really have to be honest with ourselves as we're doing the aha process. We need to understand when we're grounded, we're not grounded. And I recognize that there is likely emotion that is guiding me or setting sails. Sorry about the adjustment there. And so I decided to come down to the water here and take some time to breathe, reflect, and this is the time when I can really flush out what's going on, like allowing thoughts to come up and just like observe the thoughts. That's what we're really trying to get to, is we want to get to the point of depersonalization of the thoughts so that we can just inventory, was that coming from, am I trying to move forward with emotion, or if am I grounded in who I am and inspired to set my sails into the wind? So I was just like, hey, I'm going to go do this. And I thought, hey, why don't I bring you guys along for the ride? So basically my idea is to sit here in silence for, I don't know, probably a minimum of 10 minutes. Just listen to the sounds that are going on around me. I can hear that the airstrip is being used today, and listening to the waves crashing behind me. And I'm just going to sit silent. And if something comes up during that, I'll share it with you. If not, then we just get some silence together. So I'm just going to check in with my body. Kind of like run a little scan, checking in. Like, how often do we think about our shoulders? How often do we think about our elbows? How often do we think about our feet? That was one that I really took notice of the other day when I started to have foot problems. And I was like, I don't really spend much time thinking about my feet. And so I've been more attentive to that. I found that adjustment was very good, and my feet are happy for it. So anyway, I'm just kind of going through, checking in. I'm a sentient being. I'm going for my senses. Like, how am I connecting with this world? I'm looking to find out if I'm in cahoots with what is. In cahoots with what is a very powerful place to be, and it's inspiring. And this is where I get to shave off those things that don't serve me. So I found a uncomfortable place to sit. So if you see me move around a little bit, it's because it's hard to pick a spot by the ocean that works for videotaping and sitting. right. Oh, when I first started, I thought, boy, this is going to go quick. Like, I just feel so in alignment. And it's interesting because the first thing that came up for me as I checked in, did all my check-ins with all my body parts, as soon as I started closing my eyes, and like I had said when I started this, that I had felt like I was kind of going between feeling and emotion. And as soon as I dropped in, it was like bliss. And the first thing that popped out was a song lyric, and I was happy. And you might have seen me get out of the picture. That was my butt couldn't handle sitting in that spot any longer. and then I was like, hey, maybe I should stop this. And I was like, no, let's just roll. They don't need to see me being quiet. So, yeah, and so I was taking inventory, and then I started to have thoughts that seemed to be coming up from emotion. And then I want to look at them and see if, first of all, like what point of view those thoughts want to do, like how to reach out, like we could project. Do I want to take these emotions and the words that come from them and project from a lower sensation, an emotional sensation? So I observed those thoughts and then was able to like come out of the situation, move the personalization away from it. And prettier words started to come, and more just objective, like, I think this is why this is happening. And nobody's at fault then. Nobody's angry. And then we can just look at a situation, and then we can just look into what reality wants to share with us and how reality works, how we work with our senses. This is not a popular point of view. Is somebody like me telling you that you have a guidance system inside of you that wants to take you to life is the gift of experiencing you, to being in cahoots with what is, this divine buoyancy, to see curses as blessings, as blessings, and to kind of flip that perspective framework around and look for the most beautiful point of view. And it's something that, like, that's the place I want to share from, is as an observation, like, okay, I think this is what's happening here. Not as you said this and they said this and you did this. Yeah, and really taking inventory before I speak or I send messages. Just always looking for the most powerful way, because whatever comes out in emotion is going to be projection. And what comes out in feeling will be me being guided by myself, me being guided by the universe, me being guided in cahoots with what is. It's fascinating how magical and quantum leap this adventure can be. One of the things that's been permeating in my life, and I forget, because the way I would describe my journey was I started looking in around 2008, and I had a very narrow focus of like what my perspective framework was. And I had a life that I thought, okay, this is the life that I want. This is the life. This is how I'm going in trajectory. And my awareness and my consciousness opened up new opportunities. And weird stuff just starts to happen. I start making different choices than I ever made. And then I get different results. I get weird people. Now, when I say weird, I'm saying it was weird from what I was experiencing. Just to make sure this mic stayed on. Yep. It was weird from my perspective, my perception. And so what's interesting is that my life has been so weird for so many years that it's like just my normal now and so that's why I sometimes lose track of, like, there are people that are just getting started with this. And that's really something to look at. It's like, if you want a quantum leap, if these things feel good, life is the gift of experiencing you, getting into cahoots with what is, seeing or living in divine buoyancy, being guided by your own sails, living interdependently in the world instead of preying off of it from a narcissistic or a codependent point of view. If these things feel right, the inventory to take inside is, like, how much change, how weird could my life get? And you can ask yourself, take that inventory, like, meditate on that, like, and that will tell you what you're ready for. And so it's not for me, somebody like me, to say, oh, you need a quantum leap, you need to do it this way. No, it's my opportunity to share with you the tools that can vault you into knowing that life is the gift, and it is a gift, and the gift is experiencing you as a sentient being sent here. And it's going to be up to you. I can give you the sharpest tools in my shop, but you're only going to use the tools to the level that you're ready and the comfort zone you're ready to take on. So if it's just a little bit, do a little bit. Put up a sticker. Start thinking, gosh, life is the gift of experiencing me. Why? But I don't seem to be enjoying that. All right? What needs to change? It's the lens of perspective on how you see the outside world. Very simple. If you think you can or you can't, you're right. It's like, we use these ideas of affirmations. When we had that SNL guy back in the day, I'm a good person, and all of these affirmations we tell each other. But what's so interesting is to just, like, we see that as a concept. But the thing is that we're always guiding ourselves by affirmations. The things that we repeatedly think about becomes our reality. We are affirming what we want to experience in the world, and we reaffirm it. And so finding new affirmations and choosing the affirmations that feel like they are the biggest that you can handle, like and affirming those all the time, you will watch. The world will open up, your world will open up, and weird stuff is going to start happening, because the universe is going to start changing what's happening in your life. And it has to rearrange. You've made contracts with people in relationships based upon the framework, the perspective framework, the goggles that you're watching this video with. And so you're going to simply be changing the framework of perspective. That's the only thing we have connected to us. The part in us is the perception. The perception of the world. I have my own unique perception of the world. You have your own unique perception of the world. And then, due to circumstances, whatever's coming through me, that mystically that I don't know about, whatever else, I am creating a story. I'm either creating a story wrapped in perspective that I think is right, or I want to get it right. And those are different, that's a very different framework. Look, that one right there is, do you want to be right, or do you want to get it right? And those are, they're complete opposites. But whichever one you hold on to is where your adventure will go. Everything will pop up that's going to show you, oh, here's an opportunity. Should I take a stance on this, or should I go, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting emotional. Maybe I need to figure out what this emotion is before I try to get involved with this kind of thing. Because if we're getting angry over being right, that's righteousness. And that is a small belief system. It is a very small belief system, that if we believe that by getting offended, that is the way that I am going to change the world for the better. Just let your mind go to where that goes to, without me indulging you with my observation of it. There's a much directer path, a quantum leap path. And just very simply, the thing that I was doing in my journey was pulling myself out of all these personal constructs and social constructs that didn't serve me. And that we could call it the ego framework. I just call it paradigm A. And then once you break free of that, that's when I had my ego death. Then it's like, what the hell's going on? Like, what do I do next? And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm creating my reality. All right, so how do I get up in the morning? How do I choose which thoughts to follow to move me through time? It becomes a very different experience once you're in this place. But it's how to get to this place, because we're scared of this. The ego framework, it creates a foundation for us. And so that's why we practice. So that the thing that quantum leaping does, I could see that if I had chose quantum leaping at the time, quantum leaping would have stopped me from looking back. That would be my whole study on psychology. Narcissism and codependency. I was fascinated by narcissism and codependency. I did want to figure out what it was like inside of me, but I recognize now that analysis and analyzing things was just me putting a story together, where the more powerful point of view would have been, okay, what do I want to be? If I had just pointed my attention to, I just want to calibrate myself to interdependency. How do I do that? What does it look like? What is my circumstances going to look like when that happens? And if I had focused on that, poof, my life would have changed quicker. But at the time, I recognized I was not ready. Like, there was a lot of things that needed to blow up in my life in order for me to move forward. That doesn't mean it's not possible. For everybody, it's available because I'm talking about it now. All of the creativity that everybody brings into the world is a possibility once we see. So anyway, this is the Beatitudes. This is Paradigm B. This is about holding the highest perspective that we can as we're moving along and we're figuring it out. When we learn to know the difference between emotion and feeling, we are getting ourselves ready for drifting, being taken into this other realm where the personalization just goes away. We get to just be in the world and be who we are. And so we practice. That's what we do here at Paradigm B. We practice talking about what an emotion is, what a feeling is. How do I know if I'm being guided by one or the other? And if we're pointing our attention towards the thing that we want, interdependency, to be in cahoots with what is, all those stories don't need to take place. We don't have to overcorrect. If we were a little codependent, now we got to overcorrect and be a little bit narcissistic for a while. We don't have to do that. Just go by it. Just go, okay, now I want my attention focused on what it would feel like if I was an interdependent. And I can tell you what it feels like. You feel grounded. You feel grounded. You don't need to get other people to adjust to make your circumstances work for you. Anyway, I'll go wrap it up there. You're doing your thing. This is my thing. And I hope you're inspired by it. I hope you enjoyed this. This was just a little spontaneous thing, and I felt good about it.